Please like the video and share it so that it reaches many more people and you get sawaba, or rewards from Allah. This could be a sawabe jariyah or continuous reward for you long after you are gone.
Volume 1, Book 12, number 721. Narrated by Anas. While the Muslims were offering the Fajr prayer, Allah's apostle suddenly appeared before them by lifting the curtain of the dwelling place of Aisha, looked towards the Muslims who were standing in rows. He smiled with pleasure. Abu Bakr started retreating to join the row on the assumption that the Prophet wanted to come out for the prayer. The Muslims intended to leave the prayer, and were on the verge of being put to trial. But the Prophet beckoned them to complete their prayer and then he let the curtain fall. He died in the last hours of that day. Volume 1, Book 12, number 722. Narrated by Jabir bin Samura. The people of Kufa complained against Sa'd to Umar, and the latter dismissed him and appointed Ammar as their chief. They lodged many complaints against Sa'd, and even they alleged that he did not pray properly. Umar sent for him and said, "O Abu Ishaq, these people claim that you do not pray properly." Abu Ishaq said, "By Allah, I used to pray with them a prayer similar to that of Allah's apostle, and I never reduced anything of it. I used to prolong the first 2 rakat of Aisha prayer and shorten the last 2 rakat." Umar said, "O Abu Ishaq, this was what I thought about you." And then he sent one or more persons with him to Kufa so as to ask the people about him. So they went there and did not leave any mosque without asking about him. All the people praised him till they came to the mosque of the tribe of Bani Abs. One of the men called Osama bin Qatada with a surname of Abu Sada stood up and said, "As you have put us under an oath, I am bound to tell you that Sa'd never went himself with the army and never distributed the war booty equally and never did justice in legal verdicts." On hearing it, Sa'd said, "I pray to Allah for 3 things, O Allah. If this slave of yours is a liar and got up for showing off, give him a long life, increase his poverty and put him to trials." And so it happened. Later on, when that person was asked how he was, he used to reply that he was an old man in trial as the result of Sa'd's curse. Abdul Malik, the sub-narrator, said that he had seen him afterwards and his eyebrows were overhanging his eyes owing to old age, and he used to tease and assault the small girls in the way. Volume 1, Book 12, number 723. Narrated by Ubadah bin as-Samit. Allah's apostle said, "Whoever does not recite al-Fatiha in his prayer is invalid." Volume 1, Book 12, number 724. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. Allah's apostle entered the mosque and a person followed him. The man prayed and went to the Prophet and greeted him. The Prophet returned the greeting and said to him, "Go back and pray, for you have not prayed." The man went back, prayed in the same way as before, returned and greeted the Prophet, who said, "Go back and pray, for you have not prayed." This happened thrice. The man said, "By him who sent you with the truth, I cannot offer the prayer in a better way than this. Please, teach me how to pray." The Prophet said, "When you stand for prayer, say takbir and then recite from the Holy Quran, of what you know by heart, and then bow till you feel at ease. Then raise your head and stand up straight, then prostrate till you feel at ease during your prostration, then sit with calmness till you feel at ease, do not hurry, and do the same in all your prayers." Volume 1, Book 12, number 725. Narrated by Jabir bin Samura. Sa'd said, "I used to pray with them a prayer similar to that of Allah's apostle, the prayer of Zuhr and Asr, reducing nothing from them. I used to prolong the first 2 rakat and shorten the last 2 rakat." Umar said to Sa'd, "This was what we thought about you." Volume 1, Book 12, number 726. Narrated by Abdullah bin Abi Qatada. My father said, The Prophet in Zuhr prayers used to recite Al-Fatiha along with two other surahs in the first two rakat, a long one in the first rak'ah and a shorter surah in the second, and at times the verses were audible. In the Asr prayer, the Prophet used to recite Al-Fatiha and two more surahs in the first two rakat and used to prolong the first rak'ah. And he used to prolong the first rak'ah of the Fajr prayer and shorten the second. Volume 1, Book 12, number 727. Narrated by Abu Ma'mar. I asked Kabab whether the Prophet used to recite the Quran in the Zuhr and the Asr prayers. He replied in the affirmative. We said, "How did you come to know that?" He said, "From the movement of his beard." Volume 1, Book 12, number 728. Narrated by Abu Ma'mar. I asked Kabab bin al-Art whether the Prophet used to recite the Quran in the Zuhr and the Asr prayers. He replied in the affirmative. I said, "How did you come to know that?" He replied, "From the movement of his beard." Volume 1, Book 12, number 729. Narrated by Abdullah bin Abi Qatada. My father said, the Prophet used to recite Al-Fatiha along with another surah in the first two rakat of the Zuhr and the Asr prayers, and at times 80 verse or so was audible to us. Volume 1, Book 12, number 730. Narrated by Ibn Abbas. My mother, el-Fadl, heard me reciting Wal Mursalati, Irfan, 77, and said, O my son, by Allah, your recitation made me remember that it was the last surah I heard from Allah's apostle. He recited it in the Maghrib prayer. Volume 1, Book 12, number 731. Narrated by Marwan bin al-Hakam. Zaid bin Thabit said to me, why do you recite very short s and ras in the Maghrib prayer while I heard the Prophet reciting the longer of the two long surahs? Volume 1, Book 12, number 732. Narrated by Jubair bin Matim. My father said, I heard Allah's apostle reciting, at 52, in the Maghrib prayer. Volume 1, Book 12, number 733. Narrated by Abu Rafi. I offered the Aisha prayer behind Abu Huraira and he recited, Ida es Samau en Shakar, 84, and prostrated. On my inquiring, he said, I prostrated behind Abu el-Qasim, the Prophet, when he recited that surah, and I will go on doing it till I meet him. Volume 1, Book 12, number 734. Narrated by al-Bara. The Prophet was on a journey and recited in one of the first two rakat of the Aisha prayer, Wat Tini Waz Zaituni, 95.